and welcome back to another episode of Catholic Table Talk Podcast, where everything Catholic is on the table once again. By myself for this episode. It's a really good show though. It's tips to help you become humble or to become more humble. First of all, thank you for your continued support on YouTube, Facebook, and all your feedback. Love to hear it from a lot of different people. A lot of people that I talk to always say they love it, and the people who they are around a lot, they love it. So thank you for that. If you want to get a hold of us, show us an email. The official email of CTC, or CTT, I guess is catholictt@gmail.com. Show us an email if you would like, or comment below. But thank you for continuing to spread the word about Catholic Table Talk and enjoying it and sticking with us. Even we are kind of missing a show every now and then, but thank you for continuing the support. So, the problem I face with speakers is a lot of them, like Gary Machuda, Doug Muir. I mean, the thing is, everyone else has their own life, so they're not open all the time. And for a lot of speakers, the school time of the year is more busy than other times. But today we'll talk about Mother Teresa of California. So we'll talk about humble and tips. What are 15 tips to help you become more humble or improve, more humble. So, just a little info about Mother Teresa. She was born in 1910 and she died in 1997. She was canonized as a Saint Teresa of Calcutta in 2016, so 5 years ago. In 1979, Mother Teresa received the Nobel Peace Prize for her humanitarian work. So she was 87 years old. And she was baptized the day after she was born. So she was born on August 26, 1910, in Shopka, the Republic of Macedonia. And then the day after she was baptized. So, right to it, indeed. So a little bit about Mother Teresa of Calcutta. So, but first of all, I would like to start off with what the Bible has to say about it, because you might say, Mother Teresa had tips about it, but is it in the Bible though? Because she was really she's a saint, so there's gotta be is there proof of it in the Bible, and there is. Of course, when you host a show like this, you gotta do some research. It takes time, but you like doing it. So, if I can see it here, in James chapter 4, verse 6 is one of my favorites for humble. It says, "But he gives more grace, therefore it says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." So, he opposes the proud and the fame, but he gives more of his graces. He loves the humble. Also, it kind of has the same. It basically says the same thing in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 5. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 5 says, "Likewise, you that are younger, be subject to the elders. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility toward one another, for God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." So basically, a repeat from James. So he opposes the proud and gives grace to the humble. That's why you gotta be humble. So that's one of my favorite quotes about it in the Bible. And we'll talk about more and more of kind of the proud people in the article. Mother Teresa said, "The world does not value or understand the power of humility. But we do, because it was what Jesus used to save us." Good self-esteem is confidence in one's worth or abilities. Think about Mother Teresa. The little nun had good self-esteem. She even dared to speak against abortion at the National Prayer Breakfast in 1993 before her invite hosts President Bill Clinton and Vice President Al Gore and their spouses. That's guts. There is self-confidence, and that's humility. All the saints understood that humility is the way to nail down a good self-esteem by depending on God rather than oneself. It's the understanding that everything comes from God and that God is everything. Mother Teresa called humility the mother of all virtues. She said, "If you are humble, nothing will touch you, neither praise nor disgrace, because you know what you are. If you're not blamed, you will not be discouraged. If they call you a saint, you will not put yourself on a pedestal." And then we have 3 myths about humility. Humility, however, is often misunderstood. Some think of it with self-deception. In a recent Sunday homily, Father Jared Johnson, associate pastor of the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit in Bismarck, North Dakota, identified 3 myths about humility. Myth 1. The humble soul lacks confidence. False. The most humble people out there are some of the most confident, and sometimes some of the most prideful people are the most insecure, he said. Humble souls know their life is dependent on God and what to value. Things lasting, not passing. They values the Lord over anything else. So they don't. So that's basically the first commandment. Thou shalt not have strange gods before me. So you can't put money over God. You can't put sports, politics, anything else over God, because that's over the first commandment, and that's what the first myth they're saying is basically it. Humble people don't put things over God; they put God first, and they know that God is everything, and everything comes from God. Myth 2. Humility is not attractive. True, humility is attractive, he explained. It is the humble person who listens and cares about others as opposed to the one focused on their self and trying to look good to others. So not for fame or fortune, it's kind of like Alabama's 40-hour-week song. Not for fame or for fortune do they strive. They're just kind of everyday, humble, really nice people. And our last myth, myth 3. humble people want to be recognized as humble. Father Johnson explained that wanting to look humble is false humility. In reality, he said, they simply want to do something because it is right, and they are not looking for praise. So they're not looking for praise, but they want to do something right. So basically, you could. Let's try to think of a subject. So basically, you could hold, let's just say, hold the door for someone, and they really like that, and they try to give you money. You might not be looking for that, but you just want to do what is right and kind, is hold the door for that older person who's having, who might not be able to get as good. So the article goes on. Our greatest block to growing closer to God is when we rely more on us than Him, Father Johnson said. By putting on the virtue of humility, he explained that we grow more confident and allow ourselves to grow closer to God. When we look at a crucifix, we see a man who is humble and who is not about himself. We see a man who is for others, that we may imitate the humility so that we can experience God in His fullness. And that is true. My pastor at my parish this past weekend says something pretty close to that. He said every time he's looking at a crucifix, basically it's the same thing what Father Johnson said. Look at a crucifix, we see a man or God who is humble and who is not about himself, because he didn't have to do that for himself, but we see a man who is for others, that is us. So that's what you think about every time you see a crucifix. Now we get to Mother Teresa's tips to become humble, and her 15 tips to become humble. Mother Teresa's example proves all three of Father Johnson's points. While she was the head of the missionaries of charity, Mother Teresa kept a list of ways to cultivate humility for the sisters in her care. So we start at 15, work our way up. Tips to become more humble. They are: 15 is choose always the more difficult task. Never take the easy road, take the road less traveled, as they say, wherever that might be in your life. 14, give in to discussions even when you are right. So don't drag on an argument about the conversation, whether it's the church. And I think if Mr. Machuda is listening to this right now, I think he would say the same thing. Don't give in, like just give up on the person. But if it really gets bad, then just calm down and say, we'll get to this a different time. 14, do not protect yourself behind your own dignity. So, basically, don't hide yourself behind your own fame. Do not seek to be admired and loved by others. Right, not admired by others. And you say, oh, so you can't look at your family members and say, I can't be loved by them? Or, they don't love me. Only if you can't be admired by fame. So that's like holding the door again. Don't be trying to be admired to be that, just to do it for the love of others. Be courteous, and dedicating even when provoked by someone. So always be nice to someone, even when they're not. Or when they're calling you names or something. Always be nice and, yeah, just do the right thing, even when they don't like it or whatever. Yeah, so that's 11 because I'm dedicating even when provoked by someone. 10 is accept concept being forgotten and disregarding. So, go out with friends, um, you know, some friends might place you lower than other friends, so don't worry about that. Don't be, if they're kind of leaving out a conversation, maybe it's not your business to get into it, that kind of stuff. It's just one example. 9 is a really big one, I think. Accept insults and injuries, because, like my baseball coaches always say, if you can't deal with criticism, then what can you deal with, you know? So you gotta deal with insults and injuries. Give in to the will of others. So that could be as easy as going out to eat one night, and you don't like a restaurant that you're going to, but they do. Well, maybe just go with them for a night and go with the flow. Accept insurances even under merit. Yeah, so same thing. Try to be nice and do what's right. Do not dwell on the faults of others, because they're not your faults. So don't get into that. Don't worry about that. Accept small interactions with good humor. So same thing. Just blow off, go with the flow, do whatever you have to do. Do not interfere in the affairs of others. That's a really good one to follow. Is number 4. Number 3, avoid courtesy. So referring to wanting to know things that should not concern you. Basically, 3 and 2 is the same, and 4. Keep busy with your own affairs and not those of others, because it's none of your business. And number 1 is speak as little as possible about yourself. And I think that's a big one for a lot of people. I think my family could maybe say that about me. Just saying. I think I can say that about me too. Um, Sometimes it's hard, but you try to keep not bragging about yourself a lot. So closing out the article, it was pride. This is a quote from St. Augustine. It was pride that changed angels into devils. It is humility that makes men as angels. The devil preferred to leave heaven for eternity in hell, rather than to be humble himself before his Creator. And humility would have protected Adam and Eve from thinking they could disobey God and become like Him. Yet, through our humility and thus obedience to God, the devil is defeated. St. John Vianney, the cure of Ars, who was often harassed by the devil, relaying a conversation with him. The devil said, I can do everything you do. I can also do your penance. I can imitate you in everything. There is one thing, the devil said, however, that I cannot do. I cannot imitate you in humility. That is why I defeat you, St. John Vianney responded. Humility seems to be as a coronation and concentration, and yet Jesus was meek and humble of heart. That was from Matthew chapter 11, verse 29. Let me repeat that. Humility seems to be as a contradiction, and yet Jesus was meek and humble of heart. Matthew chapter 11, verse 29. He tempting himself, taking the form of a bond servant, and being made in the likeness of men. Philippians chapter 2, verse 7. The world does not value or understand the power of humility, but we do, because it was what Jesus used to save us. This is from Matthew 28, closing out, I think. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to his life as ransom for many. That's also another famous quote. So there is the 15 different tips from Mother Teresa of Calcutta to become more humble in your life. So, hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, really, I love doing research about this stuff, so really thought this would be a cool show to do on, because you hear a lot in churches about being more, in pastors, giving as homilies a lot, is how to be humble, more ways to become humble, more, kind, all that. So I thought this would be a good show to do on as we head into the school year, and holidays are coming up around the corner sooner than you think, and yeah, so trying to be post-pandemic as well. So, any questions, concerns, ideas about the show today? Please drop them in the comments below. Website, I believe, is coming. We're working on that, but we'll see. But God bless. God willing, we'll see you next week. And like I said, speakers will be soon coming back on the show. So, but until next time, William Summer logging off, getting up out of the table. Catholic Table Talk, where everything Catholic is on the table.